Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that for what's this, the second week running has been bit by cinema and the intricacies and the vagaries of cinema, that the things that we haven't had to deal with for about a year and we've forgotten about. And then when now they're back, we're like, oh yeah, it isn't all rosy. But no, but we love cinema. We love cinema. First world problems. These are total first world problems. But anyway, my name is Tosin, and I am the host. I am based in the United Kingdom, in the middle of the country, a place called Worcestershire. And joining me on the Isle of Wight today is Sharon.
Hello.
And usually Shaun. However, Shaun is probably on his way back home, settling in, having a little bit of dinner before from coming back from a cricket festival, a very British summer tradition, before he sort of like jumps on here and then tells us all he wants to about what he's seen at home this week. Now, I think almost understandably, because we've had, in case you don't know, we are recording this in the week that England are playing in the Euro Championships, and England scored a massive win. I mean, even Sharon, I know you're not particularly into sports, not into football, but I'm sure even you could not have escaped the significance and the yell and the hoopla about this film.
Yes.
No, not this film, about this,
yes,
this match.
I didn't watch the match, but I did look at the news headlines. I think what I thought it would be all over. I thought, I'll just check what the score is.
Yeah.
And they had just gone into extra time, and I was just like, oh no, okay. And so I thought I've got to wait another 5 minutes, and then I can find out the score, because I don't want to watch it, but I don't mind finding out the score. And so yes, I was pleased in my own quiet way.
Yes.
As someone who doesn't follow sport.
Yeah, and there it is. Shaun has just come into the room. Hello,
Shaun has just come in. You look like you're in one of those pandemic costumes.
What,
like those hazmat suits.
When I first looked there, it looks like you got like the collar there.
Well,
and then but I mean it was white. It was white. So no, not quite. But like that. That's like you could put a helmet on it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're just about to put on your helmet and go.
Or like a PPE thing, or like
a hazmat suit.
Fly.
Yeah.
That's Back to the Future.
That was my first impression. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing good. For anybody who doesn't understand what Shaun was just saying, find the video of this on YouTube in case you just listen to the audio only, and you'll see exactly what he's talking about. Shaun, just before you came in, we were talking about the fact that you hadn't seen anything this week, and we said that there's probably a very, very good reason for that, because there was a monumental football score that even Sharon with her lack of interest in sports could not escape this. So Shaun, we'll leave you to tell us what was it that you were doing on Tuesday night between the hours of 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. I know after that you were probably drunk, but
there was well, I think most people probably, well, I don't know, probably because there's some people that, I mean, it's really, really funny because we're on about the Euros, but I saw there was like a contractor today that he was limping, and I said, and he goes, and he said, I absolutely hate football. Because I said to him, I made some like smart kind of, did you do that? And did you do that at Wembley or something? He went, I hate football. I didn't even watch it. I was like, okay, sorry. but I would say, we're obviously watching the England game, and I did actually. I was thinking of going on the Monday, but the games were just really, really good as well. So,
going to the cinema on Monday.
Yeah, I was thinking. I watched the football. I watched.
Because I think because I'm not watching any. So this is the European Championships, which is a football. For those of you in America, you would say soccer, but you're wrong. It's the football tournament. It's the football tournament that's happening all across Europe. All the countries in all the best countries in Europe are playing this football tournament, and I am not watching a lot of them because I maintain that a lot of the times live football is boring. A lot of live football matches do not deliver. Now, Monday night was the night that if you were going to ignore that like anything else and watch the football for your full gamut of unscripted drama from twists and cliffhangers and all that, Monday night was the night that you wanted to see that. Yeah. But so Shaun, that I would agree with you. It's like your dedication to watching live football paid off on Monday.
It did, yes, that's very true. I mean, although the game itself, the England game wasn't exactly a great game. It wasn't a great game.
I didn't think it was
good.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be. I was actually playing tennis, but the tennis club I was playing at had a bar. And as we were playing the tennis, we were just playing, and every now and as long as things were quiet, I was like, things are okay. Then all of a sudden we heard like a, and we're like, we guess I guess that's good news. I guess that's good news. So yes, England beat Germany 2-0. To any German listeners, sorry, but hey, that's sport.
That's sport.
That's sport for you. All right, we'll carry on to films now. I was going to talk a little bit about another one of those sort of like cinematic things that we've forgotten about, but now that cinema's back, we're realizing, oh yeah, this is actually a bit of a problem. And it has to be that, I'm not sure, I'll just put the headline and then we can talk about it next week, which is that, have you found that that during the pandemic, there's other things that you've started doing that have taken up your time, and then now that cinema's back, that's the time that cinema's trying to reclaim from these other things that you now have filled up your schedule with, and now you have to sort of like push them to one side to go and do the cinema. That was
the gap that used to be cinema time, like I used to have a regular slot, has sort of disappeared, and so I'm sitting at home thinking, oh, it's like my cinema slot.
Well, that was at the beginning. Then I filled it up with other stuff, and now I found that I have to fight with this new thing that I'm doing. I have to fight to do anything. Anyway, but we are going to get on to films this week, and so we have 2 films in the cinema which I have seen because Shaun was busy watching football. Understandable. Sharon was getting caught up in not wanting to see certain things, or Shaun had already watched everything and she was like, what's the point? Which I totally understand, because that happens sometimes. When Shaun goes beast mode and sees things and reviews them, you're like, oh, I don't want to watch that now.
Yeah, but that's it. But the thing was, there's nothing actually, and honestly, there's nothing really on that really, really grabs me. I did toy with actually going to see the Fast and the Furious just purely. I mean, but what I mean, it wasn't like a must, like I definitely want to go and see that. I definitely want to go and see that. So,
and I can honestly say I never considered going to see Fast.
And there's nothing else on really that I was like desperate to see.
I think it's a combination of people avoiding the Euros because obviously they know that that's going to take up a lot of time. People are not going to be in the cinemas, and also. Fast and Furious 9, it has become, for better or for worse, it has become this massive juggernaut of a franchise. A bit like whenever a Marvel movie gets released, no other films get released that week because they're like, no, Marvel's just going to crush us. Same thing with the Fast and Furious franchise. I think that's what they think. So, having said that, let's start off there. I saw 2 films this week in the cinema, Fast and Furious 9 and In the Heights. And Sharon, you saw
Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime.
Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime, and Shaun, you saw
The Comeback Trail.
The Comeback Trail.
And I remembered, I did see some other stuff, but I'd sort of forgotten about it. But I remember one now. It was because I actually wrote it down because I thought I'm bound to forget. And it was a film called Killer Man. But we do because it's 2 and 2. We will do The Comeback Trail.
Okay, cool. We'll do The Comeback Trail. All right, cool. Let me kick off at possibly the only place that we can kick off this week. It is the biggest film, for better or worse, that has been released in cinemas this week. And it is the 9th installment in what is a weird kind of zombie franchise. You just can't kill it. You can't keep it down. It keeps coming back. That is the Fast and Furious movies. Now, this film is... Shaun, I mean, you've already spoken about how you don't want to watch these films because they have certain things in them that you just think, the slow motion shots of people walking together in suits and all that kind of stuff. Now, this is a film that, let me put it this way, so much goes down in this film that there was a point where I was like, you know what? I should be making notes. And I'm not going to be bothered making notes. I'm not going to bother making notes. And then there was a line that somebody said in this film. And once they said that notes, I was like, oh, I have to make notes. I have to write down everything about this film, everything that's just sparking up in my head. So I took my phone out of the cinema, tried to hide it, switched it on, and just started making notes about what I was watching. And the line, and you would know this because we have a bit of us up online on Facebook, where there's a video of us discussing Fast and Furious movies. There's a little snippet of us, and it is called Fast and Furious Physics. Because as we know, these films have their own war against reality. They are waging their own. They wage their own war against reality. And people say that action movies wage their own war against reality, but this franchise particularly, has a war against reality. And there is a line that Ludacris says in this film. He plays Tej, and he has the gall. Someone has the gall to script this line in a Fast and Furious movie, and that line is, as long as we follow the laws of physics, we'll be okay. And when they uttered that line, I was like, oh no, I need to make a note. I need to make a note of the things that this film is doing. So I have a list of things that I wrote, and for anybody who is trying to keep away from spoilers for this film. Number one, why? You kind of know what you're going to get. And this is just a list of notes I made as I was watching the film. I just wrote, as long as we follow the laws of physics. Ha! Laughable. Why supercars in a jungle? Because this thing has morphed into this weird thing where you have Kurt Russell, who plays a character called Mr. Nobody, and he shows up and he is a government operative, but the people he was come to in a time of national crisis is a bunch of supercar enthusiasts who cannot go on if a plane crashes in the middle of a jungle somewhere. Who do you send in? Shaun, who should you send in if a plane crashes in the middle of a jungle?
Probably send in some Marines or something like that, or someone to some rescue, people.
Yeah. Possibly with the key thing being covert. A covert group.
Yes.
But you send some people who go into a neon orange Porsche and drive through a jungle. Number one, why do you have a Porsche in a jungle? How do you even find a road to drive a Porsche in a jungle? So anyway, yeah, supercars in a jungle. Although the funny thing is that they have one character, the character played by Tyrese Gibson, who is called Roman, and this is where it has this kind of it's hinting. Last week we spoke about The Hitman's Wife Bodyguard. It was a film that totally knew how silly it was. I was making fun of that the whole way through. And then you have this thing where it's kind of halfway trying to be a serious thing and halfway acknowledging that it's a silly film, and it doesn't really do one in either way. The balance isn't right, because you have this character and he keeps pointing out that what they're doing is stupid. And he actually comes up and he goes, hang on, have you guys thought about all the crazy stuff we've done? We fought tanks, cars, planes. I mean, I'm not even going to mention the submarine. He essentially talks about the entire history of the franchise. And he's like, think about it. We've gone through all of that stuff, and we don't even have a scratch. I don't even have a scar to show for all the crazy stuff I've done. And throughout the film, he keeps pointing out, this is stupid. Why am I not dead? I just had 14 guys around me with AK-47s whose shooting makes sharpshooters or makes stormtroopers look like snipers. And it's like 14 guys around him with an AK-47 and he kills them all. And it's kind of like, all of a sudden, these guys are supposed to be drivers, but now they're firearms experts, they're arm-to-arm combat experts. Vin Diesel all of a sudden becomes Superman at one point and brings a building down with his bare hands. I am not joking. I have a bit in here just in capital letters. All I wrote was outer space.
Oh, what? Oh dear.
And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it at that. But all I wrote was outer space. It's and the weird thing is that in its own weird way, it's trying to represent, because you look at it and you realize that, you have this key bit of a plot, because it actually has a lot of plot. This film is trying to put a lot of plot into it. It has it's women who are doing that key bit. Oh, look at those. Those are people who non-white people who are doing this, and it has this representation race-wise across the board. I mean, there's a character called Han who is famous for having died very, very publicly. He has a close-up on his face in a car that is trapped, and then the car blows up.
Oh no!
He's back. He's alive. It's not a flashback. It's not beforehand. This guy is alive. And the way they explain the fact that he's still alive is rubbish. Even by Fast and Furious standards, it is rubbish. The way they try and explain that. I've written growly lack of charisma for.
Just stunned.
Honestly, I've written growly lack of charisma for Vin Diesel, and my final thing I wrote was head in hands so many times, because I did have my head in my hands so many times. Now, there's some times when these films get it right. The Fast 5, I think, is the one where the balance is right between ridiculous and something right. I think it's gone too far now. I think this film,
even totally.
No, I think, honestly, I'll tell you, but I think it's gone too far. It has gone too far. The war against reality has stretched too far. I mean, I've spoken about the fact that there is a bridge there's a rope. Oh God, the rope bridge. There's a rope bridge with a car in the middle of it, and the one end of the rope bridge is falling down, and the car is still driving on the bridge. So. And I feel like they have the balance has gone too far because they have to just keep pushing it bigger and bigger and bigger, so much so that there needs to be some sort of internal logic. Even if it's not going to make any, there needs to be something that holds together. And I do not think it holds together in this film. Having said that, I know my brother, for instance, he laughed. He thought it was stupid. He thought it was ridiculous, and he thought it was exactly what he needed at that time when he was watching it. So I would give it a 3 out of 5. But this film is stupid. It's stupid. And we shall move on quickly. We shall move on swiftly. So, Shaun, it looks like you're about to say something.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that I did think about doing it so I could actually say something about it. And if I'd have had gone to the cinema, that would have probably been the one that I've watched because there was nothing else on. But now you've seen it. I think I would.
Shaun. I think every now and then it's good to have a really, really good cathartic, angry thing at something. And I think, Shaun, if you wanted to get like a lot of stuff out of your system, just be angry at something for a very justifiable reason, I think you should go see this film. Right, because okay. I am more forgiving than you. And I was just like, no, I'm sorry, you've broken it. You have broken the thing. And I'm calling it Fast and Furious 9 is where this series officially jumps the shark. It should have done it way before, but I think they pushed it too far. I think that they have pushed it way too far, and there are too many stupid things in this film. Even though they try and nudge, wink, and go, isn't this stupid? Oh, I can't believe we're doing this. And Tyrese is the character who keeps saying it. Like, there's a bit where he goes, there's a bit where he talks about, I can't believe that 2 brothers in the hood are the ones who do this. And he says that, and you're kind of going, okay, I can see what you're trying to do. You're trying to represent and you're trying to be aspirational, but no. Just no. Oh, good Lord. I could go, okay, I've gone past my 5 minutes. I'm still right, because I could go into detail some of the stupid things that happen in this film that you're just like,
I'll save it till I've seen it and then we can I will try. I'll try.
Yeah, we can have a. Oh, it's not even going to be a spoiler special. It's just going to be a rant special. We'll go, what about this bit? What about that? How does that even happen? But anyway, we shall leave that and we shall go home. We shall go on to something at home. And Sharon, please save me from my ranty my ranty disbelief at what I have seen, and tell me what it is you saw this week and what it was about.
I saw Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime.
All right, cool. So tell us. So this is Jeremy Clarkson, who has decided to, he bought a farm somewhere in Wiltshire, I think it was, and he bought a farm, and it's a documentary about him building his, about him, a year of him as a farmer. Yes,
basically. Yeah. So he bought this farm a long time ago, well over 10 years ago. And in all that time, it has had a farm manager. So someone basically runs the farm. He sort of bought the land and he let someone else manage it. And that person retired. And then obviously he had to make a decision as to what to do with his farm. And he thought, how hard can it be? I'll run it myself. And so he decides that he will become as he put it, a gentleman farmer. And then how hard can it possibly be? And so over 8 episodes, we basically see what it is like to be a British farmer. and unbeknownst to him, he is obviously going to have the wettest winter in 50 years, followed by the driest spring in 100 years, or in 50 years, since the drought of 77. Then have a worldwide pandemic thrown at him, as well as everything else you could name. So it was a year unlike any other year. But basically, it starts off. It's 8 episodes, and each episode has a chapter. And chapter 1 is called farming. Chapter 2 is sheeping. Chapter 3 is melting, and things like that. So you have all these different titles for the books, and it sort of takes a different aspect to sort of the life on the farm. And so it's obviously Jeremy Clarkson, known in Britain primarily for Top Gear, but in other parts of the world, he did the Grand Tour on Amazon, and he has presented Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah.
And so he has a way of presenting He has a way of looking at the world, and he brings that eye to the world of farming. I thought it was genuinely very funny, as well as quite insightful. I mean, there's things you just don't consider when because I think people, someone like me who's sort of born and brought up in a rural environment, I've always known farmers. I've always known people connected to agriculture, and you always think of it as being like, that'd be so nice, wouldn't it? Just to have your own bit of land, and you could have your animals, and you could just grow some crops. And no, we have a picture of it that when you're faced with, and even he's someone who owned a farm for 10 years before running it, he still had that, wouldn't it be nice to have, So at one point he thinks, why don't I just get some sheep? I've got these huge fields that are, I get paid by the Environment Agency to let them basically be wild meadows. So why don't I just get some sheep, and they can live on the meadows, and they're like look after themselves, and I'll just come in every now and then and just shear them and slaughter them when I need to. So and then he gets these sheep, and they basically he spends the next year in battles with the most stubborn, stupid, foolhardy, suicidal sheep that has ever been known to man. And it is genuinely funny watching his expectation and then meet reality. And it happens at every avenue. So when he I'm just going to get a tractor, and it'll be perfect. So he gets the biggest tractor in the world, this Lamborghini tractor that doesn't fit in
because he's Jeremy Clarkson and he wants power.
It won't go through the gates. It gets bogged down. It's like the worst possible choice it's all in German, so he can't understand any of the instructions, and it's just reality, sort of expectation. Great, I'll get a Lamborghini, it'll be the fastest tractor in the world. Reality, it's big, clumsy, and he doesn't know how to work it.
Okay.
So I thought it was genuinely very funny and actually very insightful as well. So it had that balance, I think, just right.
Oh, well, you don't think it was sort of staged? Because I sometimes think that the Top Gear and some of the other stuff, I know I'm the skeptical one. I know I'm the thing, but I think I deliberately do the Lamborghini thing, and I'll make problems. Yeah.
Shaun, you actually asked the question before I was going to ask the question. That was going to be my question, because I agree with you. Because even on Top Gear, there's some things that they do, and they are funny. They're genuinely funny, but after a while, you start thinking, and you go, they must have set that up. They must have set that up because.
If they're filming him every day and then they condense that down to 1 hour, then you know that a lot of it is going to be, they're going to be finding the funniest moments out of a month filming for 8 hours a day to find 2 minutes of the humor. So I think is it staged, or are they just very good at picking actually those moments that do work on a screen? And there is the support. It isn't just Jeremy Clarkson, because there is the supporting cast of characters who I think actually make the program, because they've got this young lad who worked the farm under the other owner called Caleb, who basically is just he's never been 30. He went to London once when he was a schoolboy, and he didn't like it so much that he wouldn't get off the coach. And so he stayed on the coach while everyone else had the school visit. He wouldn't leave the coach. And he says he normally travels from where he lives to the farm, which is about 3 miles. And then the nearest big town is Banbury. And he might go there on rare occasions to Banbury as but then it gets a bit busy. And so he lives in this Cotswold body. They're in Oxfordshire near Chipping Norton. And so I think I know that lad. I think he lives at,
I was gonna say, when I heard someone talking about that character particularly, and when they mentioned him, I did think that does sound like people on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah. And there's a guy called Gerald who comes along to fix the fencing, and he's like an odd job man. He does all sorts of things, and basically you cannot understand a word he says. He's talking away, and he's just, and you can see Jeremy Clarkson just going, yeah, right. Yeah, great. And you can tell he doesn't understand a word he's saying. And when you're listening to him, you're sort of going, come again? You can't. And then suddenly he'll say something as clear as a bell, and it's absolutely perfectly enunciated. And then he'll slip out again into this almost like patois, and you're thinking, well, that was English.
That does to me. That sounds contrived. I think to me, I just don't know. I mean, I listened to a little bit of on the radio because they have like the little trailers. Then I listened to they were having a trailer about, and he must be a young lad, that one, because Jeremy Clarkson was talking to him, and he was saying he was like he wasn't in awe of Jeremy Clarkson at all. He just sort of said, no, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do that.
That's Caleb, the young lad. Yeah, Gerald is the older man, who is completely.
But it does sound to me that sounds a little. I'm just a skeptic in me.
No, the thing is knowing the way they make TV, because they have to guarantee that it's going to be. They have to guarantee that it's going to be entertaining. So I think that there would be a producer, there will be a director, and there will be times where either I'll be generous enough to say that Clarkson might not know that this is going to happen, but there are times when they will set him up to fail just to see how he will react to it, film the reaction, and then makes the show.
Where he's taking this tractor down a wet field, and you're thinking, I wouldn't take a tractor down there because it's going to stick. You wouldn't do it. But I think some things you think, they've got an eye on it, but there's some things that you just can't predict. And I think, there's like when they're harvesting, for example.
And I think that's where the skill comes in. It's about melding those things together, melding the things that actually happen with some things that you set up. But all in all, how well did they do? Whether they fixed it or anything like that, how well did they do? How many stars would you give it?
I would certainly give it 4 stars. I thought it was just entertaining. It genuinely made me laugh out loud at moments. And I'm someone who isn't particularly a Jeremy Clarkson fan. I did not like the laddishness of Top Gear at all. I watched
that is his thing,
and it was far too laddie for me. And I just thought they were all misogynists, basically. And I wouldn't give it any time of day at all. And so I was not someone who was going like, I'm gonna. And so I'm not, as someone who wasn't a fan of Jeremy Clarkson before this. I genuinely found it entertaining. I genuinely found it.
That's the important thing.
Funny.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I can see it's enjoy it, and that's it. And if you enjoyed it, it's really, really good, isn't it? Really,
because
that's the whole point.
As somebody that does that does documentary making and all that kind of stuff, there is a thought of that. If at the end people enjoy, because you're trying to make entertainment, and if they enjoy it, what's the problem? What's the problem?
A lot of people I've seen have said they were only intending to watch the first one just to see what it was like because they'd heard about it. Yeah. And I was almost of that mind, thinking, well, if it's a bit like Top Gear on the farm, I'm not going to watch it. Yeah. So I thought I would just try it, and I genuinely thought it was just funny, entertaining, insightful, quite moving at places. There's a bit where he has to cull some of his sheep, and you can tell he's genuinely upset. He doesn't want to take these sheep to the slaughterhouse. And he genuinely gets attached to some of these animals. And I don't think you can fake that. And those moments anyway.
He's probably not that good an actor,
So there were some moments I thought, it did all those things. Entertaining, insightful, moving, and really, really funny in places. Absolutely hilarious in places.
Good stuff. So, well done.
I would definitely say worth a watch.
Well done, Jeremy Clarkson. And possibly Andy Millman, who was the guy who actually sort of like directed Top Gear and moved around with Clarkson, May, and the other one.
Hammond,
that's it. I was like, Richard. I was like, no, that's his first name. All right, cool. Now we go back to cinema. So that's 4 stars for Clarkson's Farm. Well done. I think a lot of that is people wanted to see Jeremy Clarkson fail. But but anyway, and now we go back to cinema. We go to In the Heights. Now we spoke about this last week, and I spoke about how I got to see 2 films in a week. 2 films.
Wow.
Because, I know. It's a wonderful time we live in, Shaun. Wonderful time we live in. Because my wife went to a hen do. I dropped her off, and then I got to see this. I got to drive for half an hour into Swindon to go watch this film, and then I got to see another one of my regular Tuesday night films. So this was the one I saw on the weekend, and I saw In the Heights. This is the musical it's a musical adaptation of Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is famous for Hamilton, of his original, the first musical he wrote before Hamilton. And it is set in an area of New York called Washington Heights. And this area is an area that has a massively Hispanic population. And so this film is all about this population. It's almost kind of like It's like, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, which is all about this area in New York, Bed-Stuy. And this is almost kind of like if you did a musical about this particular area and the different people who are there. And I think, what they call them, the suenitos, which means dreamers. People who came over to America because they were chasing a dream, and they all have this dream. And you have different versions of this dream that they have. You have the guy who built a business up from the ground up, and he wants his daughter to have a better life than him. So he's played by Jimmy Smits. He has this taxi company called Rosario's, and he sent his daughter off to Stanford. And for him, that's what he wants to do. His dreams that she goes to Stanford and she has something better than he ever could have had, or that he could ever have provided her, that she has something better than that. But she's not so sure about that dream because she goes to Stanford and she experiences racism, and she doesn't see anybody from where she is. The main character is a character called Usnavi, played by Anthony Ramos, and his dream is to go back to the Dominican Republic. He's come to America, he's grown up there, but he has this dream, and he keeps saying this thing, the best days of my life on the Dominican Republic, and he wants to go and set up the bar that his dad was burnt. And so you have all these different things, you have all these different points of view and all these different dreams that different people have. Then and in the middle of all this, so you have the area that they live in is getting gentrified, so all the people who originally lived there and made the area are getting priced out of it because other people are coming in and buying all this stuff, and then they can't afford anything anymore. And the woman who runs the local hair salon is having to move to another area of the city, and people are like, are they still going to go over there? So it's all these different stories that come together to make a picture of this neighborhood and a picture of this community of Hispanic people, largely from islands like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, all that, who live in this area of Washington Heights. And first of all, I know that last week I called it a hip hop musical. I don't think that's quite accurate. It's a lot more of a Latin musical. So it's kind of, imagine, the song, the number in West Side Story, America.
Yeah.
Imagine an entire musical that was filled of music like that, and filmed with dances like that, and filmed with sentiments like that about what it means to be in America, what it means for us to be here today, and all that kind of stuff. There's a whole bit about how in their neighborhood they know somebody has won the lottery, but nobody has claimed the ticket for $96,000. And there's a number of how they're all singing about what they could do with $96,000, like what they could do with that and so the dancing is good, the dance is great. This is something that I watched and I think this would work a lot better on stage than it would in a film. Because on stage, there are things that you will allow for. You will allow for a little bit of disjointedness. That before you allow for, we're going to have this one number that doesn't really connect to anything else whatsoever, but it's just this one character singing about their thing. But in a film, where I think you expect more of a narrative and expect things to join up a bit more, there's at least 2 musical numbers in this film that I would get rid of because they don't make any difference to the plot. The film is too long. It's about 2.5 hours long. And I'm like thinking, I feel like they just took everything from the stage show, plonked it in a film. And I can understand why you would do that. I mean, it's back to this whole thing of representation. This is a group of people who have not seen themselves represented, have not seen their point of view represented that much. The fact that they're talking about the differences between, there's Puerto Rico, there's Dominican Republic, and these are not the same people. They're different people, different dreams, all that kind of stuff. But it's disjointed. It doesn't really hold on together. And I did find myself looking at my watch throughout the film and going, what? We still got another hour. Why? and so wait. I got a second. I did find some. I was just looking if we got another hour. Why and everything like that. I do like the music in it. I think the music works quite well. I think the music works quite well. I think that they have different. It represents a whole bunch of different things, but I think I'm gonna have to give it a 3 out of 5 because I just think as a film, not as engaging. It would probably be different because I've been finding out this past week. You know how there have been some films that I think we've spoken about in the past, like in the Marvel universe, like Captain Marvel. How I've speculated in the past that I think when women watch that film, they see a different film to what I see. Because they have a dog in the fight, so to say. With this. Yeah. And I think this is the kind of film that people from that background will see a different film to what I see because they'll be like, yeah, that's my grandma. Yeah, that's the neighborhood I grew up in. Yeah, finally. Yeah, that's our kind of music. Yeah, reggaeton. Come on. And I for that I'm happy that the film exists, and I'm happy that the people who get into that. There's films that I would watch as a black person or even as a Nigerian person that other people would watch and go, what the heck, this is not good. But I would give it a 3 out of 5. I think generally speaking, it's too disjointed, it's too long, and it doesn't hold together. And it says something, but not as much as I hoped it would. And that is 3 out of 5 for In the Heights. Let's remember. But okay, so Shaun, there's a film called Freaky being released, which I think that you would like. Well, I think I'm okay. Let me change that. I don't think you would like. I think you would like to watch. So Shaun has just asked me if there's anything in the cinemas next week, because obviously with the Euros being on and everything, as we said, things have slowed down a bit. And I think Freaky, I think you would like to watch, because the whole idea of Freaky is that you have a high school. It's a body swap. It's a body swap.
Yeah, I've seen the poster for that. I've seen the poster.
It's like a body swap comedy horror where you have a high school girl who's kind of like, it looks like homecoming queen type person, who switches body with a serial killer, played by Vince Vaughn. So essentially, you have Vince Vaughn doing what Jack Black did in the Jumanji movies, which is play a teenage girl, and then you have Catherine Newton, who's actually she's a really, really good actress, and she's playing like this 40-something-year-old serial killer, and it's about what happens in the. So I think, Shaun, you would like to watch it. Whether you like it or hate it, I think you would still like to watch it. So yeah, Freaky is out, and Black Widow is also out. So I think those are the only 2 new films for the next film, unless you want to see Daisy Quokka, the world's scariest animal.
Ooh.
Yeah, doesn't sound like a thing. Yeah, and Trainspotting is back in cinemas as well, apparently.
Ooh.
Yeah. So all right, cool. But now we go into a final film that we're going to talk about this week, and this is Shaun. Shaun, you watched something called The Comeback Trail.
The Comeback Trail, yeah. The Comeback Trail. Now, this is like the one of the Hollywood stories in the vein of like Get Shorty.
Oh yeah.
So basically, but you've got Robert De Niro. Now he's like a producer of like grindhouse movies, but he's in debt to the mob, and basically the mob is Morgan Freeman. Right.
Oh, I've seen the poster.
Yeah,
he has like this big dark sunglasses and some weird hairstyle and a mustache. Yeah, I've seen the poster. Yeah.
So you've got that, and then you've got So basically, he decides he's in debt to Morgan Freeman, and he's like, right, we're gonna have to make a movie. And he goes on a movie set, and this actor, this sort of star, slips and dies, and the producer of that movie collects the insurance money. So he decides, oh, that's a good scam. So they go to this old people's home, and they find Tommy Lee Jones, who's like an aging cowboy past his time. So they sort of rope him in. They rope him into this film, and they get a woman director hoping it's going to be really bad, and they just through the film he's basically trying to do these stunts where he's trying to basically kill off Tommy Lee Jones. He's trying to, but it's not having. It's all becoming really, really good, and so you've got. I mean, to me, this film is they just were having fun. They were just really, really. That you could see they were loving it, and as I say, Morgan Freeman's great because he's got these like posse of hoods behind him, and he's going, hey, that was so and so from Casablanca, so and from don't know that, and they're all looking at him like, and he keeps saying about different films because he's like a real super film freak. So yeah, and they're just really, really enjoying themselves having this film, and they play it really well. Tommy Lee Jones, particularly, he's ready to finish it all, and all that. So he's like, oh, he wants to finish it all. I'll help him on his way, and in the end, so if we do all this stuff, and I can get the insurance money to pay off Morgan Freeman, So, and there's just all these situations of him producing this film. And all the things that go on. So you've got all the movie sets there. You've got all the cut, right? Let's cut that. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Oh no! Keep the cameras rolling. Keep the cameras. It's just, and it's yeah. I mean, I totally. I really, really enjoyed this movie a lot. I mean, I don't know if it was just because it was about Hollywood and because they were enjoying themselves, and because I mean they're like 3 Asian stars, and obviously it was just like, and they were really over the top, and as I say, Morgan Freeman, who, like the super hood, drives up on the film set in like a big car with the old horns, on the front. And and he gets out, he goes, oh, and then all behind him, he's got all the other, that's quite funny. He's saying, so and so said that in High Noon, and he's going on about all different, and they just sort of look at him and you go, oh.
It's like what's this old man on about?
Yeah, what's this old man on about? So
no, that is I've got to be honest, but you're already selling me on this. You're selling this because I mean, number one, as you said, it sounds like an old-fashioned setup because number one, it sounds like a combination of the producers.
Yeah.
And there was a film. Oh, good Lord, there was a film.
Cowboys.
Yeah, Space Cowboys. There was a film with Tom Selleck and Don Amici. I cannot remember the name of it, but it was made. It was Tom Selleck, Don Amici, and the whole idea was like, your parents are old and senile, so kill them and get the insurance money. And that was the basic premise of the film, and it's and that kind of stuff. It sounds like an old sort of caper, so it sounds like almost like a throwback movie, both in terms of the stars in the film and also the setup of the whole thing. It sounds like the kind of film where it's like this is just going to be these people having fun, but
just having fun. And I mean, when they meet up, as I say, and you've got, what I mean. There's a situation where something when something's going on and they've got a conversation between them, and it's like Robert De Niro's trying to say, no, it's going to be fine. I get it. We do this, we do all that, and yeah, so. So
Robert De Niro on fun
fun, yeah. But I think he's really, really good in everything, Robert De Niro, and I think even sometimes he parodies himself.
Yeah, he does
as well now these days.
Which is why some people complain, because they're like, you're not supposed to parody yourself. You're supposed to be the greatest actor ever in anything you ever do. So they're having fun, and Shaun, from this tone of your voice, it sounds like you're having fun as well.
I'm having fun. Yeah, I should watch this one again because I really, really enjoyed this one. It was just a really good, fun, watchable. It wasn't belly laughs or slapstick or anything like that. It was just a really, really enjoyable, good, fun movie with people enjoying themselves. And horses and things. So yeah, so this one's going to get a 4-star from me.
4-star for the comeback trail. And it's becoming, there's a little bit of, it's almost like a subgenre, because there's a TV show on Netflix that I'm watching at the moment. I finished season 1, and there's 3 seasons. I want to finish all the seasons and then review the whole thing in one go. It's called the Kaminsky Method, and it stars Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin, and and there is this subgenre that has started developing that I'm all for, which is old stars, usually male, realizing that they're old.
Yeah.
And accepting the fact that they're old. They used to be the hot young thing. They used to be the thing. Everyone's like, oh my God, look at him. Oh, Michael Douglas, look at his hair. And a lot of the Kaminsky Method is like, Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin, who I have time for and I will watch all day long.
Yeah,
essentially great. Driving around LA complaining about the fact that their bladders don't work. So I am there for that kind of film. So 4 stars for that. So when we have a week like this where we instead of having 3, we only have two things per piece, it's kind of easy to tell what the result is. So when we ask who is it, who has won this week, the answer is
got to be streaming platform, Netflix and streaming platform.
Netflix and Friends win this week because of cinema have done, they've done all right, but Netflix have done better this week. So Netflix have done better this week. So I think that's the first time since cinemas have come back that Netflix has won.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, because we've started experiencing our first world problems of, that thing that we've missed for so long and we were begging to come back. Now it's back. We're beginning to go, the seats are not comfortable. It doesn't have the right viewing times.
For me, I think it's the films. There's nothing that I actually, if I have the time, I'll go and watch something, but I won't go out of my way to watch something because I don't think there's nothing really that I want to see.
They're still holding some back, aren't they? They're still waiting for...
Yeah, but Shaun, to be fair, you have watched everything.
I have, yes, it's true. And I would, so yes, and I have gotten a good excuse this week with the football being on. So next week, I might try and go back beast mode.
Go back and see what film was that we said? Oh, Freaky.
Freaky, if it's on. Freaky. And Fast and Furious, and
I tried to get to see Black Widow. I wasn't that keen, but I have seen a trailer, and I thought actually it's looking a bit more appealing than I thought.
Well, I think what's going to make it is I really love. Who's the other actress in it that she was in?
Florence Pugh.
Like, yeah.
Florence Pugh.
Florence
Rachel
Pugh,
Weisz
and
is in it as well.
I love Florence Pugh. I think she's absolutely everything I've seen her in has been really, really good.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to make it, and I like her a lot.
The thing is, I still, it's a film that I did not think should be made. And I feel I need to point this out, not because I have anything against women or I have anything against women being the star of the film, because a lot of people who are complaining about these films are your typical internet misogynists who say, "Oh my God, how could a woman be the main thing?" But I always thought that Black Widow worked best as a supporting character. Like if you find out too much about her, she doesn't work as well.
She's interesting enough to hold her own film, which is why I wasn't that bothered about it.
Well, I think she might be, but it's the kind of thing like, you know how you have a Maleficent, or what was the thing that we talked about the other week where they're trying to Cruella, where you start going, there's some characters that work really well when you don't know that much about them. And when you start going in and you start trying to tell you, and that's why the Black Widow film, I was like, I'm not sure about this because she is brilliant. Like a film that I think is pretty much a Black Widow film is Captain America: Winter Soldier. Yeah, and she is pretty much a Black Widow film. But it just she's not, and part of it is because you don't really know where she stands. But well, we're gonna get this, and from what I hear, it's a good film. But we'll see. Until that time, when we get to watch all these things, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me,
and it's a goodbye from me.
We will see you next week when I would say that we would see something else, or Shaun would have drafted himself away from the football. But if England beat Ukraine, I think next week might be a write-off for Shaun.
Yeah, possibly. We'll have to wait and see.